Welcome to another Adobe Illustrator CS3 lesson we are going to call DRS Logo. So we're going to create our own DRS logo. It does not have to be exactly the same, but it's going to be similar to what we already have. And we're going to start with kind of the original ink drawing. Someone did a really nice job on it many years ago. I unfortunately don't know who did it to give them credit for it, but they did a really good job, so we're going to use that as a template. So you just go File, New on Illustrator and name it DRS Logo, and you can just go with a regular page size and say OK. Next thing you're definitely going to want is View, Show Grid, and View. You probably don't want your smart guides on, so if it's checked, uncheck it. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go File, Save As, and you're going to save it in your Illustrator folder. I'm going to save it in my computer's Illustrator, and I made a folder for DRS Logo. You don't necessarily have to do that. So I'm just going to, and I'm going to hit Save, and OK. Then I'm going to go File, Place, and I've got a little JPEG of it, the old one. So as you can see, the person did a nice job. So we're just going to use that kind of as a template. I'll probably zoom out because I got all pixely when I went that far. So I'll just go Control Z a couple times. I can always zoom in when I want to work on it. So I'm going to put it off to the side, and I'm going to lock that layer, and I'm just going to call it Original. So I double clicked it, and I'll lock it there. Then I'll create a new layer to work on. So to start off with, we're going to, this lesson actually is going to be in 3 parts. We're going to do the rings and the text in this lesson, and then we're going to do the mountain and the eagle in another lesson, and then we're going to bring it into Photoshop and do some cool things with it there. So we'll have to set that up and then do it in Photoshop. So that'll be the 3rd. So this is lesson 1, and we're just going to work on the rings and the text right now. So start with off, I'm going to get a circle tool or an ellipse tool. Now to get a perfect ellipse, you're going to hold the Shift key down and the Alt key, and then it starts right from a center point. And we're going to start nice and big. We might as well make it big. And then I'm going to go again, and I'm going to start exactly from the same center point, holding the Shift and the Alt. And I'm going to grab another piece. Then I'm going to go right click, Arrange, Send to Back. Then I'm going to grab the black arrow tool, drag over from the outside on both of them, and then we'll make sure that they are aligned center that way and align center that way. They probably shouldn't move because we started right from center and use Shift and Alt at the same time. Now we do not group them. We go Object, Compound Path, and Make, and this must be when both are selected. And it puts a hole in the middle. Then I'm going to take another ellipse tool, and I'm going to go Shift and Alt, and I'm going to try to start right in the middle, and we're going to go a little bit to the outside, and then we're going to go right click, Arrange, Send to Back. Now myself, I might leave this filled, but I think I'm not going to leave it filled. I think I'm going to empty it. So notice the fill is in the front, so I'm going to hit None. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to go with a fairly dark blue because that's kind of our school colors. And then I'm going to go on stroke and select both of them, and I'm going to take a red because we're blue and we're red. And then I'm going to go here and we're going to move till we're happy with the width of it. And there you have the rings. Really good idea. Control G to group. Okay, So that's what that's kind of looking like. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a text, a pen tool, and I'm probably going to add another layer. I'm just going to call this layer rings, and then I'm going to add another layer, and I'm going to call it text. And this is going to be tricky. This is the hardest part, to try and get the circle looking. Using a full circle to write our text on does not work, because we're going to use what's called a type on a path tool. I'm going to use another circle tool, and I'm going to go again Shift and Alt, and I'm going to go right from the center. And we're going to start our text line right there. We're going to fill it with nothing. And then we're going to go to here. Then I'll lock the rings layer, so we only have that one selected. Now, I'm going to turn off the visibility of the back one. So before we start trying to get rid of a part, we need to move it over a little. I can always realign it later. Move it over so you see that that anchors right on a grid line. And then I'm going to take my eraser tool, and I'm going to go right on this major grid line, and I'm going to go right on this major grid line. So it's in exactly the same spot. And then I'm going to take my white arrow tool and delete that point, and delete that point, and delete that one, and delete that one. And then I'll delete the stuff in the middle. Then I'm going to turn this back on, still on this thing, using my black arrow tool. I grab that and move that back over so it looks like it's centered. So probably a good idea to unlock this one. Grab the two, and we'll go align and align this way. So now they look centered. And they look, if we align this way, that doesn't work. So we got to move it back there. So that looks pretty centered. Again, lock that, turn that off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a text tool, and I'm going to start typing with caps on. Now, we're going to highlight this, and we're going to move this to maybe a bold, and that's actually looking like a nice font. I can always change that font around, and so I'll just remember that Myriad Pro, and you just scroll through, and again you get to pick whatever you want. But I'm going to bump this way up in size. I don't mind that either. That's not bad either. Because I could try that at like a 36, and this at a 36, and then this is that a 48? I could even try a 60. I don't know what that would look like. And then I could take that and just go and I'm liking the looks of that. Again, you can mess with this all you want. Now, the other thing is, this text could change colors. Because it's sitting on a blue, I could use that red. Then I'm going to go back to my layers, and I'm going to turn that back on. And maybe I could go white. Interesting with a black line. I don't know if I like that white or if I like that red. Or do I like that black? I don't like that. So there's red, there's white. I think I like white. Anyways, I could have many choices of this. You can mess with that. And this is how you do Don Ross Secondary School with the rings and the text. That was lesson 1 of 3. Once you finish that, check out lesson 2. Thanks for watching.